Here we are, the final round of the Twitter tournament before the head-to-heads begin. Ryan was very unfortunate last week with Shamblu's fall, stopping him from landing back-to-back NAP and next best doubles, but he still sits at the top of the leaderboard. Both Jack and Andrew were on Esky Lane, which puts them in a fantastic position. And with it all to play for this week, there's plenty of big prize selections. We could be looking at a big shake-up on the leaderboard. For the final time, take it away, Ryan.
Good evening all. Couple of good bets again last week. Shamblu unfortunately falling at the last, and we had the winner as well. A couple this week. I'm going to play it safe again this week, and I've got a couple of sort of mid-priced fancies as well. It's a tough weekend with the Grand Sefton and the Elite Hurdle at Wincanton as well. But both of my bets are going to come from Kelso, and the NAP is going to be in a 210, and it's going to be Collonges for Ollie Murphy. This horse was last run at Aintree at the Aintree Festival and finished 4th behind Happy Go Lucky. He's now £1 lower than for that run, and he's been running in a lot stronger races than this, and I think they'll just want to get a win into him for confidence. I don't think they'll be looking to get more pounds off his weight, because he's dropping down low enough as it is. So he wants to be competitive. I think they'll be going for the win here. He's had a wind up, and he retains the cheap pieces he wore at Aintree as well. The yard are going well, and they don't travel up north without the expectation of their horses running well. So Collonges will be the NAP in the 210 at Kelso, and the next best will be Brelan in the 1 o'clock at Kelso for Ben Haslam. Now this horse obviously was with Paul Nicholls. I think this time last year he ran off 138, ran sort of mid 130s on the Racing Post rating, so he was competitive there. He's gone to Ben Haslam. He rated 137. He's down to 112 now. He's not going to get a better chance to win. This is his chance. If he's not going to win this, I can't see there being an easier assignment for him. I think they will look to win for him, and then they'll try go on a sequence throughout the winter in the smaller races. But that's going to be the next best. So 2-point win on Collonges and 1-point win on Brelan. Good luck.
Here we are. It's the final week, and it is also Breeders' Cup week. So both of my tips are going to be from the Breeders' Cup. The NAP's going to be Warlike Goddess at about 7-2 in the fillies and mares. She travels an absolute dream. Hopefully, she'll be able to get her head in front. You got the likes of Love, who I think has a little bit of something to prove, and also Oldari as well, who I don't think is quite the force of old. I think 7-2 about Warlike Goddess isn't the worst price in the world. And the second best is going to be Yibir in the Breeders' Cup Turf. I'm not sure Tonal is quite what she was last year. I know she finished second in the Arc. I can see her finishing second or third again. I was just very impressed with the way Yibir won at Belmont, having to come all the way around the outside in the Jockey Club Derby, and did it with a decent amount in hand, I thought, with Jamie Spencer on board, who didn't really give him the best ride. I think he was well in command that day. Buick's on board. I think he'll be able to handle the tight track, and hopefully at about 6-1 he can do the business. So it's going to be a 2-point win on Warlike Goddess and a 1-point win on Yibir. Best of luck.
Alright all, and welcome back to the last week of the Twitter tournament. It should be a great last week. I'm currently in third position in a profit of 3.4 points. I think something along those lines. So at least it means that no matter what happens this week, we'll end up in profit, personally speaking, for the last couple of weeks. That being said, even though we had Esky Lane winning last week and Regal Encore running a decent race, I'm still a fair bit behind the pace setters Ryan and Jack. So I'm going to have to throw a few Hail Marys into the mix and hope that somebody catches one. I'm going to go NAP being more solid, next best being a big each way price that can hopefully bring home the gravy and nick me a spot in that final come next Saturday. Starting off with the NAP, which comes at Naas in the 305 race, the Novices Handicap Chase, and it's the top weight in this wah for Dermot McLaughlin and Brian Cooper. Turned inside out on stable debut for Dermot McLaughlin when winning at a hack canter last time out. I don't think his mark really reflects how good this horse is. He's off 116, I think he's a 125 horse, and I think he'll go in on Novice Handicap debut. The next best comes in the Grand Sefton over in Aintree, and I'm going to follow Irish form in this with the Wests Awake for Eddie O'Grady and Phil Enright. I think he's got a good chance. He's 16-1, so if he comes in, that could be the game changer. He's a 0.5 each way. Wawa is 2 points on the nostril, and hopefully between the two of them we can land a little bit of pressure on those at the top two and maybe sneak into the places.
Hello guys, Jake Price here, and my first selection for the final week comes in the 140 Aintree, and that's Nigel Twiston-Davies' Onchen. Now Onchen was a bit of a hit and miss horse last season. He's still a maiden, which tells you something about him, but I think he ran with a lot of promise, and I think he's going to be underestimated on his chase debut. So he started the season by finishing third behind Ashtown Lad, He was staying on third over 2 miles, 3.5 furlong at Wetherby. He was only beaten 3.5 lengths by Ashtonlad, who's like a 1:35 horse, so that's pretty good form. And Kearney Hill was just ahead as well, and he's quite highly rated by Brian Ellison. So that was a nice run to start off the season. He then went to Hereford over 3 miles, 1.5 furlongs, and he travelled into the race perfectly fine, but he just didn't stay the trip. Given a break of 57 days, he then dropped back to 2 mile 5 furlong at Ludlow in January, and he ran a really good race this time, making most of the running and just being worn down late on by Theme Tune, who's a 1:23 horse for John Joy Neal, and he looks like a horse who's going to progress this season as well. But Onken ran a really good race. Again, he travelled perfectly, jumped really nicely, and he looks like a really big frame of a horse. He went to Ludlow again back in February, stepped up to 3 miles, and again he kind of disappointed. He was sent off 4-7 favourite, so he really should have won. But again, he travelled through the race, got to about the home straight, and then he just emptied completely. So I don't think he's ready for 3 miles yet, even if in time he should be, because he's a full brother to Lord Windermere, who of course won the Cheltenham Gold Cup. But either way, I think chasing is going to be his game, because sub-lieutenant's also in the family, and it came to pass as well. So you've got some really nice chasers in there. I think Onken's going to be a chaser. He starts his chasing career on Saturday at Aintree over 2.5 miles, which is perfect. He's off a mark of 120, as I said, which I think is really workable. The Twist and Davies Yard have been going well so far at the beginning of the season, and I think a lot of these horses in this race have question marks. You got like Cateson, who I don't think can jump very well. You've got Tom George and Rebecca Curtis are really out of form, and Your Darling has even gone up £8 for his last win, and he doesn't have the £5 clean of Luca Morgan anymore. So Onken would be my first selection. My second selection for Saturday comes in the 3:20 at Aintree, which is the 2 mile 4 furlong Betway hurdle, which is a conditions hurdle, which has been a really good starting point for horses down the years. It's been won by You Know What I Mean, Harry and Top Notch and horses like that. And this season, I really fancy Harry Fry's If the Cat Fits. Now, Harry Fry has been in good form recently. He had a really bad season last season, where they just got into the new yard, and I think they were still getting to grips with it. And yeah, their horses were really underperforming. But If the Cat Fits actually had a pretty decent season over fences. He started off by beating Fiddle on the Roof by 7.5 lengths, and then he ran well in some much better races than that, finishing second in an intermediate chase, finishing third in the Quarto Star Grade 1 over Christmas. So, he had some decent form, but they decided to go back over hurdles with him, which is fair enough, because I think he probably is a better hurdler. And they ran him in both of the staying contests at Cheltenham and Aintree. And at Cheltenham, he travelled into the race quite well, faded out late on. Aintree never really got into it. But the really interesting angle with this horse is he has really good record fresh. So his record fresh is 1-1-2-1-1. And he also has a really good record over intermediate trips. So between 2 mile 2 furlong to 2 mile 5 furlong, his record actually reads 1-2-1-1-1. So I think he's going to be a horse to catch first time out over 2.5 miles. That's the trip I like him over anyway. This doesn't look the best race in the world. He's got Brewing Up a Storm to beat, but he gets £6 off of that rival. So on the ratings, that puts him bang on, as he's now rated 150. Wild About Oscar, I don't think his form is actually that up to much as a novice. I think he's a nice horse, and I think he'll do really well over fences. But here, he has to try and give £2 If the Cat Fit. So I don't really see him running that well. Tom George, as I've said, is in really bad form. Listener Goroska, I think, definitely needs 3 miles. This will be a just nice starting point for him. And again, Rebecca Curtis isn't in very good form. And then finally, Martello Sky, she's got race fitness on her side, but I think she has quite a bit to find. So I think If the Cat Fit is a good selection here. Sean Bowen gets on well with him. He's won the Coral Hurdle at Ascot twice before. So I think 2.5 miles at Aintree is going to be perfect for him. And yeah, he'll be my second selection.
Hi everyone, Dan Overall here for the final week of this challenge. No street, no Guinness this time for the video, unfortunately. Instead, it's Strepsils, cough syrup, and my office. But we move on, and hopefully we're going to try and claw some points back. We're way adrift. It's been a poor performance, but if recent experience has taught me anything, it's that the first few weeks don't really matter. It's all about punting wildly on the final week. So that's what we're going to do. So the next best is going to come in the Temps qualifier. Again, I don't know why I'm picking these races, but it's a punt, so why not? So, as with most qualifiers, it looks an absolute minefield. I think most of these will probably be going over fences sooner rather than later, the likes of Remastered, Deja Abba, who might go for the London National at Sandown next, I would imagine, on Tingle Creek Day. Others are out of form, others don't like soft ground, so I'm going to take a punt on the old boy, the World's End. It's primarily tried in Hunter Chases last season where he ran okay, but I've always thought he's miles better over hurdles and fences. He just never looked natural over the larger obstacles. A dual Grade 1 winner over the smaller obstacles with Tom George, including the Sefton over course and distance back in 2017, but also the 2019 long walk hurdle. And to be fair, he did actually shape quite nicely in the 2020 long walk as well, which was a really hot renewal. It was his first start for Ollie Murphy as well. He was still bang there as they turned for home and was looked after once beaten, but that was a promising effort. Ollie Murphy is probably in better form now than he was at any stage last season. He hasn't really had him long, and now he's down to a mark of 1:44. So this is the easiest race he's been in over hurdles probably since 2017. I think it's only his second handicap run, and current odds of like 14-1. I think he can run a decent race here against questionable opposition. Then moving on to the NAP, we go to the Mayor's Handicap Hurdle, and we're going to go with Emmpressive Lady, who's again a tad overpriced at 11-1. What is quite admittedly an open race. She was progressive last season, comfortably beating two rivals rated 118 and 120 on her second start over hurdles, and then she won on her handicap debut over off 155 ahead of her next time out winner, White Hot Chili Filly, who won in listed company. Then she finished 2 lengths behind Molly Ollie's Wishes in a handicap when she was running off 130, and the front two pulled well clear. And obviously Molly Ollie's Wishes has proven to be much better than a 130 performer, so that form has been franked quite a lot. Last time out, I think you can forgive her. I don't think she was given a great ride, also coming back off a fairly lengthy absence, but she's only £2 higher now when chasing home Molly Ollie's Wishes. I think the form of those two previous handicap runs suggests a mark of 122 isn't beyond her, and she might just be sneaking under the radar because her connections aren't as lauded as others. So that's the final 2 selections. Fingers crossed.
Steve Ryder here, my final couple of selections for this Twitter competition. Hopefully both will be big prices. My nap comes in the 3 o'clock at Wincanton, the Badger Beer Handicap Chase, and it's Ofalltheginjoints, hopefully at around 20-1. He looked as if he was going to make up into a graded novice chaser last season when he defeated St Bart's at Exeter, but like many of the Colin Tizard horses last season, he just completely lost his form. In fairness to him, he showed a bit more life at Aintree when 5th behind Happy Go Lucky off a mark of 141, and now looks well handicapped off a mark of 137. Brendan Powell has been getting the pick of the Colin Tizard horses so far this season, and they've had some early season successes with the likes of Eldorado Allen and Fiddler on the Roof. He looks to have opted to ride Ofalltheginjoints over Storm Home, who has better recent form, so hopefully that's been driven out by his homework, improving in first-time blinkers that are fitted for this race. My next best is in the 2:15 at Aintree, and it's the Grand Sefton Handicap Chase, and my selection is Hogans Height. He won this race by 16 lengths in 2019 off a mark of 134, and is now only £4 higher. Everything was geared around the Grand National that year. It was cancelled because of COVID, and then they went an unorthodox route to the race last year. All of those runs can be completely excused. He always needs his first run of the year, so his Newton Abbott run last month was purely just a prep for this, and that should put him spot on for this.